Hi everybody, and welcome back to the Thug Station 77. Welcome back to our channel. I know you guys may say, well, I've been seeing a lot of videos where you are pretty much by yourself. That's because my husband has been working so much with all of these videos that I've been making. And of course, as you guys know, when my husband and I first did our intro, we was talking about we are in the middle of finalizing our adoption. So therefore, our kids, we really don't make a lot of posting videos with them right now because of the simple fact we want to be able to show them to you guys, and we're just waiting on the anticipation more than anybody, to be able to reveal our children's faces and not have to cover their faces with the masses and things of that nature. But anyway, so I've pretty much been just trying to keep our channel going and going and going by doing a lot of videos and things of that nature by myself. So here I am, and tonight I'm doing story time. So welcome to this story time. I don't want to waste any time and get into what this story time is about. This story time is going to give you more information about my husband and I by starting the beginning of our journey together to tell you how I met my husband, how my husband met me, how we met each other. So this video is dedicated to how my husband and I met each other. And then of course, later on, he'll be able to join in and he'll be able to share in the insights to share with you guys more of our first date recorded. We don't like to say date, but our first date, what we did, what we went, and all that stuff. But anyway, I want to get to tell you guys how we met. We met back in 2010. We have been together now for a little over 7 years. So we've been together for, I like to say, almost 10 years. We've been married now for over 5 years. We got married in 2012. We met in 2010 and we were married in 2012. And yes, you may be saying that was very short-lived. Yes, we courted. Yes, we had a courtship. I'm old-fashioned. I'm 70s kid, so I like to use what I was raised on. Courted. We courted. We did not date. We courted for a short span, and my husband said that he knew that I was the one. So I'll get to that later on how he knew that I was the woman that God had made for him and how I knew that he was my husband. For many of you, a lot of people don't know, but people who know us personally know that my husband had never been married before. I am his first and only wife, and he is not my first husband. I was married twice before I met my husband, and I'm very comfortable in my skin to say that. So this is my third attempt at marriage, and I thank God this is my last one, and it is awesome to be married to my husband. But anyway, I'll get back to all of that another time if you want to know more about that. Some people say, well, why even talk about that? Well, you don't want to talk about, your previous relationships. I'm not ashamed of any mistakes that I made in life. Those are my testimonies. They are my things that help me to become an overcomer. So I'm at peace to share my story about that to help other people. But my husband that I have now is my only husband. He is my final husband. He is the one that God had for me, and I'm certainly the one that God has for him. And so, anyway, my husband and I, we met back in 2010, and we met through a mutual conversation over the phone. We met, we were having conversations with some other people on the phone, and we met through that conversation. And from there, we started to converse, and our conversations would last for hours and hours. We would actually fall asleep on the phone with each other. And I mean, his conversations, it wasn't the fact that our conversations were so deep. It was just the fact that our conversations were very interesting. They were very intellectual, and they were very real. And most importantly, we started out talking about God. And I really liked that because I had been through so many different things in life. And I had been married twice previous to my husband and I meeting. And I hadn't had very great, very in relationships in the past. So I was kind of done and over it. And so I was just basic conversing with him. But when I heard his voice on the phone, it was something about his voice that really just intrigued me, and it just made me want to talk to him more and more. And I know you ladies out they're going to watch this video, understand where I'm coming from. When, you know, I was talking to a man whose voice was not only deep and sexy, but it was just something in his voice that made me draw into him immediately and wanted to just talk to him more and more and more. So I didn't really show that to him, but I'm pretty sure he could tell that I never wanted to get off the phone either. So we would fall asleep talking to each other, conversations that would last for hours. And you know, ladies, that's something that we look at, you know, that really stood out to me, because it reminded me of, like, you know, like that first love type stuff that when you're young and you're talking to someone, you don't want to get off the phone, and it's that you hang up, you hang up, you hang. We didn't do that, but it's like that you hang up, you hang up. No, you hang up, you hang up low. You hang up, you hang up type of conversation where you don't want to get off the phone, and then when you do, you wake up wanting to talk to that person again. So that's how it was for me, and so we conversated on the phone for quite some time before we actually met in person. And every single day, I found myself on my way to work and on my way coming home from work, as I was teaching school at the time. I wanted to talk to him more and more. I wanted to talk to him. I couldn't wait to, you know, to get off work, go home and lay on the couch in my living room and talk to him. And so finally, because I was living alone, I had recently dated, and now this was a dating situation. I had recently, before I met my husband, I had recently dated a guy, and it didn't work so well, and had actually put the guy out. I was living in a house by myself, but I had allowed the guy to move in. So prior to me moving forward with meeting my husband, I actually had not so good relationship with the guy. I ended up breaking up with him and calling off with him, and actually putting his stuff out one day when he was gone, and getting rid of that relationship. So I really was kind of over relationships, because it seemed as if though, like, every relationship that I had failed. So I really was just kind of just conversating. But again, when I met my husband, Tony, the conversation itself was just telling me a whole lot. So even though my heart was feeling some type of way immediately, I was feeling some type of way. I was being drawn in through just conversation. It was just calming to talk to him. He was easy to talk to. He was a great listener. And all of those things were sent out. I was still kind of feeling some type of way, like I don't want to be serious, you know. I'm not trying to move forward seriously, but I do like this man's conversation, you know. So we ended up communicating still on the phone, and then we ended up deciding, you know what, we just gonna go ahead and just meet in person for the first time. So we was conversating and getting to know each other over the phone, but we had not seen each other face to face. I had sent him a picture of myself at some point through our conversations, and it was funny because I was like, what if he think that this is a picture of somebody else and it's not actually me? But anyway, I sent him a picture back. He didn't just go like overboard, like, oh, you're so beautiful, you so this, you so that. You know, he kept it real. And he was like, you're a beautiful woman. And he just kept the conversation moving. So I was like, wondering, like, well, okay, he didn't say very much. But I knew I could tell that he liked what he saw, you know, because he had only seen like a visual from here to here of me. He didn't see the rest of me. And so he was interested, you know, just you know, in my conversation, and just from seeing who I were, or believing that it was me on the picture. And so I still, at this point though, had not seen him. Yes, at this point I had not seen my husband face at all, but I could just hear his voice. And his voice was just so soothing to me, and it was so sexy because it's so deep and it's so sensual, and all those things were just coming out to me. But I still didn't know what he looked like. I wouldn't knew who he was if he had walked up to me. But I was being drawn out to him through his conversations, because our conversations were deep. We was talking about everything, like we had known each other for years. It was that type of conversation every single time he and I talked on the phone. And so finally we decided to set a meeting date. And so we set a meeting date, and he came dressed up after he was on his way to church, because at that time he was driving a church van for a church he was attending at the time. He was a member of which I will become a member later on after we had gotten together. But prior to that, he was a member, and he was the van driver. And I didn't know that at the time, and so I was like, "Oh, I like that." He's a man of the cloth, and so he was going to church every day. I believe, I kid you not, he was going to church every single day. And he was a dedicated driver because he was doing everything for the pastor. He was going running errands for the pastors of the church, the pastor and his wife of the church, and he was really really busy. And so, but he went on to church that night, and when he got out of church, they actually got out earlier than normal because they would normally have church really really late. He actually called me and he was like, he set it all up. And believe it or not, I didn't get up and I didn't dress up. I didn't, I mean, my hair and everything, I was decent. I remember having on like a little blue sundress type thing that I was sleeping. It really was like, it was like my sundress slash nightgown type thing. And I remember I had that on when he actually came to my house. And I was living in a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house by myself at the time, with the laundry room, and a nice patio or whatever. And so he came, he was like, this is a really nice house. And we met in group or whatever, and we greeted each other at the door with a nice little hug because, we felt comfortable with each other. So he came in, he conversed, and I promise y'all, this might sound weird and crazy. I did not want the man to leave. I did not want him to leave. I really, really didn't. I didn't want to sleep with him or anything. But I'm talking about I didn't want him to leave. I wanted him to stay. I enjoyed his presence. And I'm not going to lie. Ever since then, my husband and I have been together every single day since since we actually met each other in person. I mean, it's just that type of love that we share with each other. Some people spend a lot of time together, do a lot of things together, and some people don't. And Tony and I, we have done pretty much everything together since we've known each other, since our first initial meeting in person. We pretty much have been together every single day except for like maybe one time in our whole near 10-year relationship. And it's no smotherization. I asked him, do you ever get tired of being around me? And he's asked me that, and the answer to both of our question is no. We enjoy, I mean, that's just something that works for us. It's just something that those people are so used to seeing him and I together. If they see me without him, they'll say something's not right about this picture, or vice versa. I mean, that's just has worked for our relationship, and I have never really felt that way or experienced that with any other man in my life. And I'm 41 years of age now. But I've never experienced that. But I must say that my husband, he is my boo thing. He is my Boaz. He is my gift from God. And I just appreciate him. Don't get me wrong. We don't always see eye to eye on everything. So I kid you not, I'm a realist. I keep it 100. I'm very, very straightforward, 100% real. We have our ups and downs in our almost 10-year span that we have been together. But I could not picture life without my husband. And he says that he would never, if I were to die first, that he would never get married again. Of course, I would love for him to get married if something were to happen to me. But I kid you not, if something was to happen to my husband, not because he's my third husband, but because what I share with this man, what I feel for my husband, how much I love my husband, how much I'm so thankful that God created me for him and him for me. I'm just done. I would not get married again. This is it for me. And I believe in my heart that I would feel the same way if he were my only husband. And technically, to me, he is my only husband because he is the husband that God designed for me. With my other two paper marriages, because we were married on paper, but not in the heart and not in the spirit. God did not put us together because I did not wait on God. I moved forwardly. I'm just as much to blame of those two failed marriages as they were. But that's a whole nother story in itself. I mean, it's the past. I'm not ashamed to own it. It is what it is, and I moved on, and they moved on, and there are no ill feelings from one way or another. But I'm thankful that I did not give up, because I was going to give up before I met my husband. I was going to give up. I had already mapped out my life, so I thought that I was going to be a single woman, and I may date here and there, and I was going to adopt children because I didn't want to have children out of wedlock. And that was going to be my life, and have me a little chihuahua, which I did have the chihuahua at the time, a different chihuahua than what we have now, but I had a chihuahua because it's my favorite dog. And I was like, this is what I'm going to do. And lo and behold, that's not what God had for me. God had my husband for me. And I tell you, the ride with him has been awesome. We have shared tears together. We have cried more than enough tears together. And we have laughed. and we have overcome so many different things in our life together. And I must say, I would not change a thing, the good, the bad, the ugly, the nothing, because all of it has really helped us grow in our life together. I can truly say we are as one. I mean, I feel so good as a woman to be able to know what it feels like to have someone to genuinely love you as you love them back. The unconditional love. My husband has never left my side, nor have I ever left his side, and nor do I ever plan on it. And I just really am so thankful, to be able to see. And then we don't even have to. I know this is about how I met my husband, but pretty much how I met him is simple. I mean, we just met over the phone through a conversation, and the rest really is history, because our life took off together from that point on. We dated, we courted. Like I said, I don't like to say date, but I'll say day for just as. But we went out on dates, we courted, and we got to know each other. We spent time together every single day, and we really took time to really talk and conversate. And we put all our cards on the table early on about what it was we wanted in life. And my husband told me that he actually had a vision of me coming into his life 2 weeks before we actually met, and how God had showed him that the woman that was going to come into his life was going to be his wife, was going to try to marry him, is the way he says it. But I actually did not try to marry my husband, but that's how he said it, because he was being funny, because he knew that God was showing him that he was about to meet his wife, which was me, and that I was going to become a church member of the church congregation that he was currently attending. So, but yeah, so I'll let him tell the rest of that when he joins me in the video in the future, to tell you guys more about that with the husband and wife story time. But just to give you guys a little insight on how that went. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much my story time on how I met my husband. And like I said, my husband he has been there with me. You guys, I mean, I was smitten by his conversation from day one. We actually met at nighttime on the phone, and over the phone conversation, and it was kind of late that night too. I remember, and I remember it was slightly cool, slightly cold. Here in Mississippi, the weather was slightly cold because it was in September, um, and so like I said, I was just smitten by his conversational pieces that he was putting out. I don't know, you know, but that's to say, just to be honest about it, that it had, um, the voice got me. But the main thing that really got me was his love for God. To be honest with you, my first true attraction was the fact that he was committed to the Word of God, and he was committed to God Himself, and that really is what really stole my heart. And second to that is the fact of his humbleness to help and love people. Everywhere we go, people see the God in him, and they ask him, "Are you a minister?" I mean, because his light shines when we go out in places. People are drawn to his attitude, his persona that he has. It draws people in, and and so I really love that about him, because I mean, it's strength. As a man, he shows the, and he reminds me a lot of my grandfather. And I'm not saying in a weird way. My grandfather was a man, and I see a lot similarities in characters that what a man should be, in my head, in my own sense of the word. I see that in my husband, and my husband has a lot of strength. He's very humble, quiet spirit, and I'm the talker in our relationship. But I mean, don't get me wrong, he talks, but I'm saying he's a quiet, slow speaking, mild, meek mannered, humble individual, and it just balances us out. Like, he's like, we're like the opposite. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to understand. honestly, I'm being honest with you guys. I mean, like I'm the talker. My husband is more of the listener. I mean, I listen, but I mean, he's more of, it's a balance, It's just a balance. It's like we balance each other out. Like, you know what I'm saying. So, yeah, that's pretty much it, you guys. I just really wanted to come on here tonight and really just give a story time to you guys about how I met my husband. I mean, I really love my husband very, very much. And I'm very, very, at this point in my life, I think I met him at the right time. I think that God knew that I was ready, that I could be that wife, that He wanted me to be to my husband. Life experiences taught me that. And also things that I did not know that I've learned since I've been with my husband has taught me how, and I'm still becoming that virtuous woman. Even though I teach the word of God, I'm still not where God wants me to be. And my husband, he helps me. He's like a covering, you know what I'm saying, in my life, and I love, the relationship that he and I have. Like I said, the ups and the downs, because we have our ups and downs too. Sometimes I get on his nerves. Sometimes he gets on my nerves. I'm just keeping it real. But I wouldn't change a thing, because he is a very important, next to God, he is the most important, intimate part of my life. And I love him dearly for being the type of man that he is. I could go on and on and on, but you get the point. I love my husband, and I thank God for him. And I thank God that I met my husband the way that I did. It doesn't matter to me really how I met him. I could have met him in the grocery store. I could have met him in the house of the Lord. I could have met him on the side of the highway if I needed my flat tire changed, even though I could change it myself. Whatever way I met him, we met at the divine time that God wanted us to meet. So we met at that time. All the dots was connected. The timing was right. Everything was right. And my husband didn't waste any time courting me and popping the question, which I'll share it with you guys too real quick. He popped the question. We ended up at some point moving in with my mom. My mom had never, ever, she didn't believe in shacking, but she did allow my husband and I, before we were married, to stay with her for a little while. And one night, we got to talking, and it wasn't just that big extravagant, over the top. I don't know if my husband said to himself, maybe because I had been married before, maybe he felt in himself that it wasn't necessary because he knew what type of person I am. Maybe he felt like I had already been proposed to over the top before or something. I don't know, but it was just simple, straight to the point. One need, hey, will you marry me? And so he did that, and we started planning our wedding because I said yes. And we planned our wedding for a little over a year. He proposed to me at the beginning of, oh Lord, I can't remember. I wrote it down. What a shame. Because it really is not important to me, really, to be honest. But to some it is, but to me it's really not. It was in like February. February. Matter of fact, it was like a couple of days before, like February 12th of 2011, and then so we got married in 2012. So we planned our wedding. No, I'm talking about how I met your dad. We can't go. No, you can't get in this one. My little bug. Cool. Our little bug wants to get in the video, but you can't. You can say hi though. Hey. Just say hi. This is Brittany. That's our baby daughter. You can stay here with me if you want to. And so we ended up getting married in June of 2012. So we planned our wedding for a little over a year because he did pop up. Because I had to think, because think about it. When you get married and your heart is really in it, you tend to remember dates, but you tend to forget the dates at the same time because you're not really focusing on that. You working on your forever. So you're not really worried about when you met, how you met, and all that stuff. So I have to recap on what it is because I'm not just keeping up with that stuff anymore because I used to, but we've been together for so long and it's just our life. I'm not trying to keep up exactly, everything for things. So it was exactly February of 2011 when he popped the question and asked me to be his wife. And I said yes, of course, with a big smile. And I initially did not want to have a large wedding. We had a pretty nice size wedding. And as you guys can see already, our colors that we had, that's obvious because we shared there on our page. I think it's your brother or sister. You won't let them in. And she doesn't want to let them in. But anyway, so that's pretty much all I have, you guys. We'll talk more about the last part of this video because when my husband and I do husband and wife story time, we'll recap on some of the things that I was just talking about. But pretty much wanted to just tell you guys how we met. So on that note, that's pretty much about it. What you think?
Yep.
That's about it. Because it's really about how we met. So that's all I want to say to you guys. Love you guys. Hit the like button, subscribe, and comment, share. Leave your comments and share, and let me know what you think about this video. I guess I won't end it right there either because I was saying we got married on June 23rd, 2012. At exactly almost 3 o'clock. Our wedding started late because we actually ran out of gas on the way to the church. We did everything for our wedding. We made our own wedding cake. We did all of our decorations with the help of my sister-in-law. We did everything ourselves, and so we ended up running out of gas on the way to the church. So we ended up getting there late and getting dressed late and running all over the place trying to get ready. So our ceremony ended up starting at 3 o'clock p.m. instead of 2:30 p.m. And so we had a beautiful day. It was really, really hot. I'll never forget it. It was so hot, but everything turned out so beautiful. We had a wonderful time, and we got married. And so here it is, over 5 years later, 3 beautiful children. We did have 1 miscarriage, which I'll make a video and talk about all of that in the beginning. 3 months after, I know, right? 3 months after we were married and all that stuff. So all that'll come later. I don't want to go ahead in the story time on that level. So that's it for tonight. Our daughter says take a breath. I need to take a breath. Okay. Take a breath. So we're going to just taper that right there, you guys. So if you guys want to know more, tune in to the next videos. This is part 1 entitled How I Met My Husband and How My Husband Met Me. So how we met is what it's called. So I'll post that as the title. I love you guys. See you guys in the next video. Peace.
Peace out.